Morning all. Today, and some of you may have spotted where I am today, but today I've just come along to King Alfred's Tower, or at least the woodland around it anyway. Not been here for quite a while. I just thought I'd come out and do a bit of woodland photography, which for those who watch the channel a lot will know that it's my downfall is woodland photography. I'm not very good at it and I really need to get more practice in. So of course I've started as a mean to go on today by coming out with my 4x5 Intrepid with 6 sheets of black and white, which to a lot of people might seem a bit stupid given the fact that it is currently autumn and the colours are all out and it's beautiful. So you'd have thought that colour would be the way to go, but if I'm honest with you, I actually loaded these sheets of film up, it must have been about 6 weeks ago now, with the view of going out to do some sort of street photography in Bristol, but never managed to get out and do it. So I've now got 6 sheets that are currently sat in some holders waiting to be shot. Now I could have swapped them out for some Portrait 400 which I've got in the fridge at home, but I don't really like loading, unloading of film holders because you always run that risk of it scratching the film or damaging the film. So I thought, no, I'm going to come out anyway and I'm going to shoot this black and white film. I've also got my Mamiya C3 and that again has actually got a roll of Delta 100, again a black and white film in that. So yeah, we'll have a look to see what we can find today. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. Okay, so we've got our first shot lined up of this nice scene here. Quite like these. What drew my attention to this scene was this tree here with the leaves on the floor there, and then these quite prominent 4 trees. Obviously trying to cut out as much sky as possible because I don't really want that in my shot, but it's going to be difficult to avoid if I'm honest here. HV5 in here, that's my last 2 sheets of HV5. Then I've got 4 sheets of Fromapan. I'd normally take 2 exposures here just to make sure that I've got the shot, but I think this time, because I've only got 6 sheets, I'm going to and I want to explore more. I'm only literally a few hundred yards away from my car, and I quite like this anyway. I quite like this path leading in, and just the side, these trees being side lit by the sun, which is just currently over there. So yeah, so we'll get this shot and hopefully it comes out. Right, so let's take this photo. Just gonna, so I've moved the camera. Just want to check that that it's not in shot, which is not. Right, a few checks you've got to do first with any 4x5 camera, the lens anyway. First of all, you've got to check that you've closed the shutter, otherwise you'll just end up exposing the film when you don't want to. So that's the blade shut. Just going to do a quick check. So that fired nicely. Then we've got to get our ISO, not ISO, what am I on about? Right, we're going to shoot f32 and we're going to shoot at a second, which on HP5 is no reciprocity failure, if I remember rightly. I'll just check that, just do a test shot, which is great. Let's cut the shutter, everything's right, we haven't moved anything, we're all ready to go. So many things can go wrong when shooting 4x5, but when you get it right, It's an absolute joy. So here we go, first shot. Easy as that. So easy as that. It's never quite that easy. All right, let's make sure that goes back in the right way. That's it. First one in the bag. So we'll carry on now and see what else we can find. Like I said, I don't want to double up my shots today. Just come out. This more today, to be honest with you, is I'm not sure I'm going to get anything that's portfolio worthy, but it's more practice for me, really, being out in the woodland and that, and just getting my eye in, really, because like I say, it's an area where I've always struggled, and I don't think I've got anything nice from shooting woodland. So anyway, let's carry on. There's some dogs in the background. It's a popular dog walking area, this, so yeah, might hear quite a few dogs in the background. Anyway, let's get on to the next. Well, I suppose, I wanted to mention briefly about, a lot of you guys are probably in the same position as me. What I mean by that is that, I work full time. It takes me about an hour and a half to get to work. And, I've got a family and all that sort of thing. So it's very rare, really, when I, walking about. Yeah, it's very rare that, sorry, people just passed on some bikes in, so yeah, it's very rare that, I get the opportunity to come out like this and do much photography, which is always, a bit of a shame, especially when it's your hobby and it's your passion, all the rest of it, but it is just about trying to fit it in around your life, really. So where I work is very industrial, and I have got some photos. I actually work in Avonmouth, just outside of Bristol, and it's a very industrial area, and it has changed my photography thinking slightly. Still love landscape photography, and whether you call it a cityscape or an urban scape or whatever you want to call it, I'm finding I'm getting drawn to those industrial type scenes, really. So, and there's lots to shoot around there. So what I would say is that although it is frustrating sometimes when you can't get out, you've then got to, it makes you look at other avenues, really, and other photography styles that you might not have thought about before. So especially working in Bristol, there's a lot of different cultures, and it's a real great city to get out and just walk around. And cityscapes not really ever been my thing, but I'm really beginning to enjoy it, especially on film, especially carrying around something like the Mamiya C3 or a 35mm camera. You can just go, and so much to shoot around there. It's just it's really good. But it's just about diversifying what I do, really, so I can keep doing my passion and my hobby, and capturing hopefully some good photos, but also still enjoying it, really, because there's no point doing photographing stuff that you really don't enjoy. But I've found that actually I'm quite enjoying the process of shooting industrial or cityscapes. So yeah, that's one tip that I'd give to people if they're struggling to get out, is just look around, look what you've got close by, look what's close right around your house, look about close to where you work, perhaps. There might be some other stuff that you haven't noticed before, and just broaden your horizons, really, of not just shooting landscapes, but looking at different things for your portfolio. So you never know, you might get that epic shot that you've been looking for. So yeah, look, I'm struggling around here. It's a beautiful forest, but there's loads of it, and the colours out and all the rest of it, but it's just finding that like standout scene in I suppose it's the opposite way of the saying, really. You're looking for the, you know, you can't see the tree for the forest type thing. And that's definitely the case here. Anyway, I'm sure it'll appear at some point. We'll carry on. Hopefully I can find something worthy of setting up the Intrepid again. Okay, so I'll just show you this real quick. I found this scene here, it's going to be real difficult. There's a lot of dynamic range going on here, and I'm hoping that the H25 Plus will be able to cope with this. But I'm sort of shielded by this tree just here in terms of the sun. The tripod's just behind. I've not set my camera up yet. I'm going to use a 250mm lens and try and cut out as much of the sky as possible, just get this path leading on down. It's a real simple shot, but I like this side lighting coming on, and I like the different colours, although I'm shooting black and white, so that's a bit stupid, isn't it? But anyway, but I really like this scene. It's just a nice, it's sort of leading you in, and it's like to where it's like a little adventure. You go down there, you're not really sure what's around that corner. So I love this sort of scene, really. But it's really simple, and I know that, and it's probably not challenging my woodland photography very much, but I just like the scene, so why not, eh? Why not shoot what you like at the end of the day? Sorry about that, just moved the camera up by mistake. So yeah, so let's get this set up now, and I'll show you the full setup that I'm going to go through, and I'll talk you through it as I'm setting the camera up. I know I've done this type of video before, but I will show you and just go through how I'm setting it up, because it is a ball ache, let's be honest, but that is the joy of large format photography. At the end of the day, it's that slowness, it's that time it takes to set the camera up, to really think about your shot. You know, I've only got 6 shots, do I take it, do I not? You know, am I going to waste a sheet of film, you know, when it's a good, it's, you know, if you were shooting portrait, you're talking about 7 or 8 quid, British pounds, this is a sheet. That's a lot of money, a sheet, that is a lot of money, a sheet. So HP5 is probably somewhere around the £5 a sheet, and Photography, sorry, my arm's going there. Photography is probably somewhere around the £3 or £4 a sheet, so it's a lot more affordable. And I have said before that, you know, previous video, that if you're looking to just get into large format photography for the first time, and you want to practice, you know, you're going to expose some film that you don't mean to, I would really recommend going for something like a Photography. I'm not saying that film is any less good against, you know, HP5 or a Delta 100 or something like that, but the negative is a thinner negative, and it is more prone to scratching and stuff like that. So it's not, in my view, it's not as good, but then it reflects that in the price, and you really get a lot of value for money out of shooting that film. So I would recommend that if you're just starting off, just get yourself a sheet of 25 you know, sheets of Photography, and just have a go. Doesn't matter if you ruin some, you know, expose some to the light, and then practice loading the film holder, so you don't, you know, you don't damage your really expensive film like your Portrait 400 or, you know, whatever else really. That's, you know, film is expensive, so it's worthwhile just practicing on the cheaper film. But anyway, that's enough rabbiting by me. I'll get on and shoot this scene, because it's kind of beautiful. So I'm going to go on and shoot it now. Right, so let's go through the setup. I should just say that I've got this Shimano bag, and with these, you know, obviously more pricier bags, it's a great bag, love it a bit. It's real, does everything I need it to do. Bought it because I wanted a more of a hiking style camera bag than anything else. But what I found was you have to buy the bag and then buy the inserts to go in it, and the inserts are quite expensive, I'm going to be honest. So what I did is I went on Amazon and I actually found these little camera bags. They're not really inserts for anything, I suppose. You know, you just put them in a normal bag and away you go, but they fit perfectly in this bag. And I've got one for each one of my camera setups. So I've got one for my 35mm, I've got one for my 4x5, I've got one for my Pentax 645, and it just fits everything that you need nice. And all I've got to do is lift that out and put the next one in, if depending on what I'm shooting. So couldn't recommend this enough. I'll put a link in the description below. And obviously, yeah, it's just a tip there. These are about, I can't remember how much to pay for this. Might have been 25 quid, 30 quid, something like that. But it's a hell of a lot cheaper than the inserts for this bag. And they, like I said, it works really well. So just a quick tip there. Right, let's get on and set this camera up then. So first of all, we've got to take the Intrepid out. And we're just, well, what I should say first of all, I'll put that back, we'll go back a step. I'm just going to level the tripod using the little bubble level at the front here. This is quite important, and I'd always recommend doing that. Just got to make sure that this isn't catching the sun. The sun's just moved around a bit since I was yeah, there we go. Right, I've just got to go through the process again. Yeah, what I was worried about there is because I'm shooting technically directly into the sun. I'm trying to hide behind the tree so that it just shields the lens. Get that level right, so that's that level. Get the Intrepid out, put that on here. All right, just get this set up. So once we've got this level, just level out the top plate also. But you can see what I mean about the faff that it is sometimes setting this up, but I kind of like it. Sometimes I just want to go out and shoot a load of photos and just burn for a roll of film. But then a lot of the times I just like the slow process of large format photography. And if you get that killer shot that you've been after all year and you've achieved it on a 4x5 camera, I always feel like I've had more sense of achievement gaining it on this camera than say my Pentax or my Olympus or my Nikon, when I hopefully get the Nikon at some point in the future. That's going to be my next camera purchase, I think. Looking at something like the F4, something like that. Right, there we go, we're all level now, according to the, although I have actually set up in the wrong position. So I'm using the 250mm lens, needs to be on the further setting. Okay, so that's the Intrepid set up. I'll make sure that this is all level to start with. It's always, like I say, it's always easier to start from a level base, really. Just makes the process a lot easier. So now we're all set up. There is one thing I'd say about this Intrepid that I find a bit of a problem, is the base plate here doesn't have any, it's quite a smooth, well, it is a smooth base, but where the tripod plate fits, first thing is, I mean, this is a Manfrotto tripod, you know, it's not a cheap tripod, it's a well-known manufacturer, and what I find is when you screw the plate onto the bottom of here, the screw goes too far up into this, so this base isn't thick enough, and what I find is that this wood piece here actually catches on the actual tripod screw, so that's no good. So the other issue as well is because there's no friction between the tripod mounting, the tripod plate itself, and the tripod plate, so the actual Manfrotto plate and then the Intrepid plate, what I find is it actually moves because there's not enough grip. So it'd be nice to have an area, you know, where this would, you know, have a bit of roughness really, so it wouldn't move. So what I've had to do is put a bit of cardboard between. That's again to give that bit of thickness between the actual base plate and the tripod plate, and then so I can properly tighten it down to make sure it doesn't move, but it still does move. And I only mentioned actually just moved a second ago. So anyway, that aside, we'll get on for the next thing. So the next thing is your lens. So like I say, I've got, I've mentioned this before, I've got 3 lenses. I've got the Fuji 250, I've got the Fuji 90, and I've got the Fuji 135. I am missing a lens, I feel, probably a 180, and that'll probably complete the range really of what I'm looking for. I do find there's a bit of a gap between your 135 and your 250. So at some point, I'll probably invest in a 180mm lens. So here we go. So with your lens, you're going to need your cable release. Again, I just get these off Amazon. You can spend what you like on these things, but I get these off Amazon for quite cheap, and I've got a load of them, and I have broke a load of them and lost some of them, and all sorts of stuff. So recommend that. Just get some cheap ones, because you are going to lose them. So what on the Intrepid, you've got 2 lugs at the bottom here, and then you've got this sort of plate at the top, and this just fits in like that, and then that just pushes down, holds it in place. So now you're ready to go. Actually, on the lens, what you've got is you've got your screw point for your shutter, which is there. You could use your hand to press the shutter, but it's always best using a cable release, because then you've got no camera shake at all, or you minimize it anyway. You've got your shutter cock for obviously cocking the shutter. This black sort of bit at the top here is for opening the aperture ring inside. So obviously you can then leave it open to set your scene up, and I'm going to have to set this up quite quickly because that sun is coming around pretty quick. What I do with this initially to set this up is I will put the aperture on this lens at 6.3, and then once you've sort of set your scene up and you've focused in, you'd then close your aperture down to what you're looking for, and then technically refocus again, just to make sure that at that aperture you're going to be shooting at, that front to back you're sharp, if that's the look you're going for, of course. So I'm going to shoot this at f32 because I want a front to back sharpness. So at the moment it's open, and we're going to now get round to the business end to get it focused. So you're going to need a couple of things to get this focused. So the first thing is the very famous dark cloth. These are actually remarkably expensive. I think, again, I got this off of Amazon. It's an E-tone one. I think I paid about 60 or 70 pounds just for this, but it is an essential bit of equipment. I have forgotten these before and actually hidden my head under a hoodie to try and focus, but you could use a towel or anything really, but these are quite good because they've got the Velcro bit on the bottom, so it enables just to fit around that to get your head under so it doesn't move. The second vital piece of equipment you're going to need is a loop. This is a 10 times loop for focusing, but basically you put this on the glass and focus your scene in front of you. So, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to disappear under here and get focusing. Okay, so we're focused in here. I focused about 2/3 of the way in. I'm going to employ a bit of front tilt to try and get some of that back in a bit more focus. I don't want it completely focused all the way back there, I don't think, just thinking about it now, because I'd like that mystery of, you know, where does that path go? So that's what I'm going to look for. So I'm going to employ a bit of front tilt just to see if we can get that in a bit more focus. So I'm just going to close this up a little bit. F32. Okay, so we're looking good. Just put that away. Okay, so now we're focused on what we're looking for. Next thing to do is get your film holder. I want to shoot HB5 again, and what I might do is take 2 of this particular scene. So what happens is the back just comes back, you fold that in until you hear a click, and then it's in place properly. What I do with these film holders is there's a black side and a light side. So the way I do it, and you could do it either way, just whatever works best for you. The way I do it is I will have the black side facing out for unexposed film, because it's in the dark, it's not seeing the light yet, and then I'll turn it round to reveal the light side once I've used that film, to show in my head that it's been exposed to the light. So that's the way I look at it, but you know, different people look at it different ways, but there we go. So what we need to do is the usual checks. So what you need to do is to make sure that the aperture blades are closed. What you do need to do next is take your meter reading. Now I've already taken one, and I know I need 8 for a second, f32. Now I'm going to be honest and say that I use my iPhone to take a meter reading, and it's only because you know, it's just down to funding really. It's on my list of things to get is a proper light meter, so that will be the next thing that I do get when I do purchase something else. But for the moment I use my my iPhone, and to be fair, it works quite good. I just, you know, it's more of a me thing. I don't really know how I feel about using that to you know, in what is an analog process. So why would you want to use a digital process when shooting analog? But anyway, I digress. So aperture blades are closed, this is all set. Always do a test shot where you're around the front, just to have a look. You see the shutter blades are fine, opening, everything's fine. So now the shutter's cocked, we're ready to go. So the only thing is to do now is to expose the film to the scene. So I'm really hoping that I'm shielded by this tree here with the sun. While I've been rabbiting on, the sun has come round quite a bit, so I'm just hoping that it doesn't put a load of glare onto my film, although actually it might give it quite a nice shot. Usually what I'd do if the sun was around here is I'd just shield the lens using this, just to try and keep the sun off it, but as it's literally just there, I can't really do that without blocking my shot. So here we go, done, simple as that. So like I say, you've got your dark side and your white side facing out to, in my head, show me that that's been exposed to the light. That's it done. So because this is the light is quite harsh in front of me, I'm going to take another shot, and I'm going to take it at 15th of a second just to give me a couple of options. So now we're shooting with Chromapan, so let's move this to 1/15th, just check the shutter. That's all working fine. Let's cock that again. Just check that that is closed, which it is. Grab this. Done. Light side out. Oh, that's grey, but anyway, it's light side out. It's grey or black, so that's that done. Right, so we'll get this put away. Sometimes I'd carry it around on a tripod, but it's quite a hefty lump to be carrying around, so I put the thing away. And again, if I put the thing away, what I put the Intrepid away, what I do find is that, again, it makes me think about, right, is this scene good enough for me to put my bag down, set all of this up again, take the shot, pack it away, put it all away. It just makes this just an extra level of thinking, really. Is this good enough? Now, what I would say, and again, I've said this before, is that if you're, you know, struggling with your digital photography, like I was, you know, I had a few years break from digital photography just because I just wasn't getting on with it at all. What I'd say is it's worth, you know, investing into a bit of film and doing a bit of film photography, because you will be amazed how much you slow down and you change your photography style on the basis of, you know you've only got a limited number of shots, even if it's 36 shots. You know, I was used to going out on my digital camera and shooting hundreds of shots a day and coming back and having memory cards full of shots and then not having to do anything with them. But if you've got 36 shots, sorry, or you've got 12 shots if you're shooting a, you know, something like a 6x6 medium format, or you've got 16 if you're shooting a 645 medium format, or 2 if you're shooting a you know, a 4x5 or 8x10 or 5x7 or whatever your fancy is, you'll be amazed on how much it just slows you down, and you can just, you know, think about your scene a lot more. Is it worth shooting? Is it not? Don't I? Well, I'm not sure. You know, and it puts that in your head, and it is a great sort of way of just teaching yourself just to slow down. And you could pick up film cameras for quite cheap. You know, you don't have to get one of these and spend all of this on all of this setup here. You can get yourself a 35mm camera, quite cheap nowadays, and you know, 35mm film is quite cheap in comparison to what we're shooting here, and you'll just be amazed with how much you actually slow yourself down, and just by doing that. So it's definitely, you know, if you're struggling with your digital photography, it's definitely worth, I think, looking at, because it certainly restored my love of photography, which like I say, when I had a Canon 5D Mark III at the time, I think it was, and yeah, like I say, I just fell out of love with it, really. So yeah, bit of a tip there. I'm full of tips today, aren't I? Right, I'm going to put all this away and get on down this trail and see what's around that corner. Okay, so I just want to talk about this scene behind me quickly. It's a scene that I've walked past loads, and I've even stopped and photographed it loads in the past as well. I've stopped and photographed it, and that's because there's a tree just over here, and usually it's red, and it does stand out a little bit against the background. And then over this shoulder here, there's also an oak tree, which looks quite nice as well, against the you know, the background of trees. And you know, I wanted to take this as a pano with yeah, some blue sky, with just the trees, and not bothering with the sky in the shot, because I don't feel like it actually adds to the shot. But I just wanted to talk quickly about this shot behind me. Now you might be looking at it thinking, well, it doesn't look very nice, it doesn't look anything special, and perhaps it doesn't, but to me, I really like this scene behind me. But I know that it's absolutely pointless shooting it to get a portfolio shot out of this. Yes, I might take a snap on my phone if I was coming for a walk with my other half or whatever, just as a bit of a memory, because it's a nice scene. But you're never going to get a portfolio shot out of this scene as it is at the moment. And the reason why is because there is no separation between these two standout trees which are either side of me and the background, the light is way too harsh, and what it really needs is some fog. And if we had some fog or mist or whatever in the bottom, which was offering some separation between the background and these trees, then you've got a shot. But as it stands at the moment, it's just one of those scenes that it's nice to sort of stand here and admire, but then I'm just going to have to move on and look for another shot in the forest somewhere. So yeah, lovely shot, but I just wanted to stop and talk you through why I don't think that this shot would be worthwhile shooting with, especially with my Intrepid and my 6 sheets of film that I've got, because ultimately I know deep down in my heart that this shot just will not come out, and I'll look at it later on and think, why did I take that shot? So you just got to know really when to walk away from a shot and when not to. So in this case, I'm gonna have to walk away from it. Okay, so I've decided to get my Mamiya C3 out because I wanted a square crop with this. So this shoots 6x6 medium format roll film. I think I said earlier I had a roll of Delta 100, but it's actually got a roll of Delta 400 in here. I've metered this scene using my my iPhone, and it's given me 30th of a second at f11, which I'm just going to set that up now. This is a bit precarious because I haven't got a tripod plate for well, on this. I've got one at home, but I never put it on this because I never really use this on a tripod. I always sort of use it handheld, mainly for when I'm doing cityscapes and stuff like that, really, because it's just a lot easier like that instead of having to carry a tripod around a city and everything. So I don't think I've ever used this properly on a tripod, but anyway, for the moment it's sort of precariously placed. Now the scene I'm shooting is this these ferns, and again it's a shame it's not in colour, because there is loads of colour here with these ferns that are changing colour. Excuse the helicopter. These ferns that are changing colour, so you've got the lovely yellow and brown and greens, and then you've got this wood stack behind, and then sort of the greenery behind that. So I'm focusing in on mainly the logs and this sort of fern here. So it's a real nice shot. I focus it up. That's all nice and focused. I did have a little bit of an accident with this camera a few weeks ago, where basically it fell off a shelf, and the shelf was probably probably 1.5 meters, 2 meters in the air, and it just hit the deck. So it seems to be working at the moment. I've had to put some tape on the back because I've noticed I've had a couple of light leaks from the last few rolls of film that I've developed off of this camera. So I put a bit of tape on the back until I get the foam to redo the seals. So that's what we've got at the moment. So we've got this focused up nicely. I'm just going to cock the shutter, which is there. Hopefully this fires, because this is a little bit temperamental. I'm not going to lie about it. So hopefully this fires. Nope. Yeah. So this thing needs to go, I think, to be repaired, because sometimes, like now, the shutter just will not fire. Right, let's try it again. Just make sure that that is in focus still, which it is. It is. Just put this back in here. Done. Simple as that. I will, because I do like this scene, just take another one just in case there is any issues. Nice and focused. Cock the shutter, just check that again because it moved. fine. This clearly doesn't want to stay on it. Done. Morning. It's quite busy here now. Like I say, it is a beautiful area, so I recommend anyone that lives close coming down. Okay, so last shot of the day, which means I'm going to take 4 with the Intrepid and a couple of shots with the Mamiya. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this, quite like this V sort of tree in the background here, and all of this sort of carpet of ferns leading up to it. Now, again, it's just a shame that I haven't got colour out on me, because this would be a nice colour shot with the change in the colour as the ferns sort of go off into the distance from this sort of browny yellow colour to green, and then obviously onto the tree. Going to use the 250mm lens, and I am going to basically make sure there's no sky. Just don't need sky, it's not going to add anything to the shot. And yeah, we're going to mainly focus on this sort of carpet of ferns in the tree in the background, using these 2 trees here as sort of to frame the image on either side. So that's the plan. So hopefully this shot turns out. If it does or it doesn't, I'm still going to put it up, and if it doesn't, I'll explain why I didn't think it worked, or if something happened to the image developing or whatever, I'll let you know what went wrong basically. So yeah, I'm going to get on and shoot this image. Okay, so let's get on and take this shot then. So 250mm lens on, we've all focused in, frame of pan 400, black and white. Just going to do a test shot. This is f32 at 1 second. Test shot done. Got the shutter. Open that. I am going to try and just shield the lens. That's it, done. 4 sheets done. Right, suppose I'll get back home now and get them developed, or I'll probably put the drone up before I go home, but yeah, that's it. The car's just over there, so I'm going to pack away and get back to the car.